there is no moment where we get to choose, right? Whether or not we want to let it go and just move on. But like that was like the only thing I could think of was like he just like he knew we'd be okay. Like that's like the only way he would allow this to happen was just because he knew that we were prepared to handle this.
And is this to encompass me as just Rachel or Rachel as magically meta? I love how I'm going to have questions for you as well throughout this. I'm so sorry. No, I'm going to stick with Rachel for storyteller. Because, yeah, I think everything that I do revolves around, like, the story element of it. Like, that's just how my brain focuses. So we'll go with that. Oh, dang, I got my earrings up in it. We're good. From a really small town in the middle of Missouri. When I was there was roughly 500 people. My graduating high school class was 19 students, including myself. Society and culture group was really sheltered and isolating and difficult in a lot of ways. I think by like 7 or 8, I was very much under the impression that my struggles with like what I at the time just called my craziness would isolate me even further from society. I think things that like kids in that position don't realize is that when you do spend a lot of your life masking in different ways, you kind of then don't know who you are. So a lot of my adult life has been kind of figuring out what the like Rachel in a word is. Life growing up, like all of my hero papers were about my mom because my mom worked 7 days a week at a factory for my entire life. My dad was a carpenter by trade. Like in terms of those, is she a daddy's girl or a mama's girl? It was definitely like, I'm very much more my father's daughter than anything else, whatever that may entail sometimes. There is, I think, like a lot of my stubbornness, a lot of my both like ability to see very small and see very big at the same time I get from him. When we bought this house, it was a part of the intonation of buying this house was that like my dad's a carpenter and my mom is also like just a little worker bee, so they'll just kind of visit and or move in with us for a bit and help us work on the house. And when my dad passed so quickly after that, it was really hard. My mom was calling us at around 4 a.m. and I had missed them because my phone's usually on vibrate, but Sean's phone was going off and he had woken me up saying that my mom was calling, and it didn't feel real. It felt very much like a nightmare. And I felt really angry. Like I think the main emotion I have felt since it happened is just anger. Yeah, like there's so many reasons to feel angry about loss. When I lost my dad, I did not feel proud of who I was. I was just so angry. And I think the only way I could accept it was like the belief that like, and it's so silly, but he passed of a heart attack. And I know there is no moment where we get to choose, right? Whether or not we want to let it go and just move on. But like that was like the only thing I could think of was like he knew we'd be okay. Like that's like the only way he would allow this to happen was just because he knew that we were prepared to handle this. I try to be very open about this because I think it's important that people don't feel as stigmatized by it, but I've struggled with suicide ideation throughout my whole life, and because of that, I know what my symptoms are of when it's bad, you know? Like, I think it's a very natural thing to, in a world such as the one we live in, to have moments of like not wanting to exist. It's just emotionally hard, physically hard. Like there are just so many moments in life where you're just gonna wish that you weren't here. About 6 months after my dad passed, I would like wake up and be mad that I was still here. Like I would just wake up bummed, like, oh, I'm still here. And that was my sign that like, okay, we're in red zone. That's not good. I ended up putting on a children's cartoon in an attempt of, like, this was something I was doing pretty consistently throughout early COVID days, was just putting on children's cartoons to like kind of numb and or like falsely cheer myself up in a way. And so I put on Sailor Moon with my mom, and it was the first time I'd ever really watched it, and it weirdly just like caught me. Like it just ended up being like exactly what my brain needed to pay attention to. And so through watching her heroic journey, I was like, how do I view this in myself? Like how can I start seeing the Sailor Moon parts of myself and not just the like Usagi who's messing everything up all the time, because that's all I could see of myself. Halfway through, I decided to start writing again, essentially. It just started to become a story for me. I can't exist without the part of me that needs to also remind me of reality, even when it sucks. So it just spiraled into a whole story that I've now spent 3 going on 4 years working on. It's called Magically Meta. I would call it a hero's journey for everyone who's ever felt like the hero's journey doesn't connect to them, that they don't fit into it perfectly. I think that stories and art itself can evolve, can be remixed into something new, and that's what Magically Meta is to me in a lot of ways. Is it's my way of expressing what my experience in a world full of media is like, and how that's affected me as a writer, but also like as a person, in a way that I think a lot of people don't think about how stories have affected them and the choices they've made in their lives. I think more people should look for that story in their lives, because it's probably different than the one they've been telling themselves.
Tell them the real story.
Okay, hear me out. Ah, no, I can't stop.
It has also evolved in other ways of, it gave me the courage to apply to go back to school. So I'm currently getting my graduate degree in film studies, because it does mean so much to me. So it's just been like this like snowball effect of growth for me since I started it. This project has allowed me to find not just a purpose to keep waking up, but also like I've realized just how little credit I've been giving myself this whole time in so many areas. I was very fortunate enough to have my dad tell me many times that he loved me and he was so proud of me. And I would hope that if he were still here while I was doing this, that it would have inspired him to live a little bit more fearlessly as well. The work that I have done, especially in the past year, would show him just like how much being brave is worth it.